Good evening, all. Happy Monday. It is July the 13th, and these are some of the headlines on bizarrebest.com. Young mother shot by BLM crowd after she said all lives matter, apparently to the wrong people. Youth Liberation Front behind some militant protests in Portland. 4 more women accused of supplying girls for Epstein's abuse club. Dude. WHO, the pestilence can spread through airborne aerosols via people without symptoms. Like we didn't know that. Thanks, WHO, for your lateness to the game. Yet again. The fourth quarter is in, and you're freaking late. Dude. I don't know what those dudes are doing. In any event, those are just some of the headlines on bizarrebest.com. Well, there's a right time to express your opinion and probably a not so right time to express your opinion. And unfortunately, a young woman and mother lost her life. Jessica Doty Whitaker, 24, and her fiance Jose Ramirez were walking along the canal on July 5th when an argument over BLM began. At one point, according to the family and friends, Whitaker said all lives matter, which elicited an even most hostile response from the BLM group that she was apparently arguing with. Why would you do that? And anyway, one person in the BLM group reportedly produced a handgun, which led to Ramirez producing one of his own, which de-escalated the situation for the time being. Ramirez said that the BLM group left the area but then returned and shot Whitaker ambush style. Dude. It was squashed, and they went up the hill and left, we thought, but they were sitting on St. Clair waiting for us to come up under the bridge, and that's when she got shot, said Ramirez, adding that he returned fire but apparently did not strike anyone. That's insane, dude. Man, I gotta kill a pop-up. She shouldn't have lost her life. She has a 3-year-old son she loved dearly. It's hard to tell his mom is in heaven. Tell him his mom is in heaven. If you want to talk to her, you have to look up and say, I love you, Mom. The Fox 59 report did not mention that Whitaker countered the BLM message with all lives matter. No one should die over words. I mean, are we in fucking kindergarten? You know? What about sticks and stones and all that shit? But tensions are so high. But there's clearly a right time to express your opinion and a wrong time to do that. That doesn't make it right. But I'm just saying you need to know your surroundings and know your situation. Sometimes it's best to shut your mouth. We're going through a lot. The 3-year-old boy doesn't even fully understand, said Ramirez, the local station reported. I just want justice for Jessica and her son and her family. All she did to get murdered was say, all lives matter. Her grandfather, Dale Snavely, wrote on Facebook, how is it that 2 white young people are out for some alone time? They drop off her 3-year-old at her grandma's house expecting to have an evening to reconnect, but all they got was terrorized by multiple BLM assailants on the canal in downtown Indy. I feel like there's more to this that we're not being told about. To top it off, after the 2 young people continued their walk and then turned back, that is when the multiple BLM assailants came out of hiding and shot Jessica in the head. Dude. Words, man. Words. Why isn't anyone outraged by this? Whitaker's grandfather wrote on Facebook, according to TGP, which did not identify him. Is it that BLM was involved, or that it was white young adults that were the victims? The Daily Wire confirmed with Whitaker's father, Robert Doty, that she said all lives matter. Yes, that is accurate, he said. Whitaker reportedly worked as a certified nursing assistant and was preparing to go back to school to become a registered nurse. Indianapolis police said that Whitaker was the 2nd person to be shot and killed near the canal last week. In the prior incident, 2 people were shot. A 14-year-old identified as Curtis White Jr. was killed during what police contend was an armed robbery. As for Whitaker, a GoFundMe set up in her name garnered $17,800 as of this writing. The campaign's goal is $30,000 to help pay for her funeral and other expenses. I mean, that is so sad that she lost her life. But again, it sounds like there might be more to this situation. And honestly, I actually had to scope out and look for this story because it wasn't being necessarily reported. And it wasn't even like on the first page after I entered the search terms that I did. So I want to say some of this is being shoved under the carpet for a purpose because it doesn't fit with the current narrative. But at the same time, I feel like there's more to this story. It's really hard for me to believe that someone would just pop out of nowhere and just shoot somebody in the head for words. Words, dude. Anyway, I will link it at bizarrebus.com and you can read it for yourself. Today we're going to meet the Youth Liberation Front behind a militant marathon of Portland protests. I didn't even know there was a YLF. Shortly before 1 a.m. on July 5th, as protesters raced for more long hours on the streets in Oregon's largest city, the Pacific Northwest Youth Liberation Front took to Twitter with a stern declaration. Be like water, keep moving. If you see someone smashing windows, shut the F up. Walk, don't run. Hold the front and back lines. Well, after protests against police have faded in many American cities, the Pacific Northwest Youth Liberation Front has emerged in Portland as a persistent military voice, using social media to promote rallies and offering tactical advice and commentary on gatherings that have often ended in confrontation with police and arrests. The conduct they champion has ignited a bitter debate about the direction these protests have taken and an ongoing drama that plays out nightly in front of the Multnomah, I probably hacked that, County Justice Center, and later in largely empty streets defined by block after block of boarded up buildings. The core of downtown and the aftermath of the pestilence and the demonstrations appears to have drained much of the vitality that has long helped define this Northwest city. For the Youth Liberation Front's anonymous leaders, these protests are part of the revolution. They are resolutely anti-capitalist and anti-fascist and express disdain for those who work for reform within what they view as a failing political system. Sounds like Antifa. In a podcast interview last October, 3 of their leaders, one of whom identified himself still in high school, where are these fucking parents at? Said they were spurred to activism over a range of issues that included climate change, law enforcement misconduct, and the rise of right-wing hate groups, as if someone in high school really fucking knows what's going on out here in the real world. And people are allowing this to happen. They have affiliates in Seattle and other U.S. cities and have gained thousands of new social media followers as they launched into promoting protests over the May 25th killing of George Floyd. Recently on social media, they have displayed a battle-hardened bravado, scornful not just of baby boomers, but white millennials, who they view as too often unwilling to put their bodies on the line in protests. How about if you put your fucking body on the line in Afghanistan? Just a thought, if you're so brave and you know nothing of the world or how it works. Somebody needs to shut these people down. On a June 18th tweet from the group, we're a bunch of teenagers armed with ADHD and yerba mate, whatever the hell that means. We can take a 5 a.m. raid and be back on our feet in a few hours later. We'll be back again and again until every prison is reduced to ashes and every wall to rubble. Their whole fucking goal is to destroy America. They're Marxist commies, dude. They are by no means the only group that has organized protests in Portland. Big gatherings that attracted tens and thousands of people and ended peacefully were largely put together by others. But they have been among the most outspoken, combining organizing skills and street savvy in what has evolved into a grueling, more than 40-day marathon for protesters and law enforcement officials who often stay on duty until deep in the early morning hours. In court filings in U.S. District Court, county officials estimate the damage costs to the Justice Center building, as well as nearby courthouse that on July 3rd had 15 more windows shattered, will exceed $284,000. Make their parents pay for it. There have been more than 140 arson fires, most in trash bins on the streets or sidewalks, but they also include a May 29th fire inside a first-floor office of the Justice Center, a high-rise that includes a county jail. Just burn those dudes alive, you know? That's all. No concern for the lives that are in there. In July, protesters have focused more attention on the federal courthouse next to the Justice Center. The U.S. Attorney, in a July 6th filing, charged 7 protesters with defacing the building and assaulting federal officers. In Portland's downtown area on May 29th, some protesters joined in looting stores. Of course they did. Statues have also been defaced with graffiti and damage. Of course. In social media posts, YLF leaders portray acts of vandalism as part of a broader struggle to make big changes in America. They reject any effort by police or groups to divide the protest movement into those who are peaceful and those who turn to violence. You will never win with these people. Never. You won't win. You got to just take them out, dude. That's all there is to it. Quote, the pigs in a PR battle, so they say there's a difference from peaceful and nonviolent protesters, when in fact what we are fighting is the ultimate form of violence, making any and all resistance self and community defense, the YLF front tweeted. So it's okay for them to tweet violence, basically. I guess Twitter's okay with that. In interviews during protests, some youthful participants embraced those views. With real change comes a lot of collateral damage, said one young man who probably lives in his parents' basement. As the protest wears on, both police and protesters have on occasion come under harsh criticism. On June 26, protesters set a dumpster on fire and pushed it up to the side of a northeast Portland building that housed minority-owned businesses and a police precinct station where people were inside and had to contend with an exit door barricaded shut from the outside. Because they want to kill people. 2 suspects, an 18-year-old white man and a 22-year-old black man, have since been arrested. Video filed by police in court showed that this was a controversial action even among protesters on the scene. How long is the city going to let this go on? Quote, put the goddamn fire out. That is a black building. Black businesses, said one voice in the video, filed by Portland city officials and U.S. District Court and posted online by the Oregonian. The next day, black community leaders lined up outside the building to denounce the arson. I know whoever was behind this thinks they were doing it, or perhaps are trying to have us think they were doing it in the names of Black Lives Matter, said Tony Hobson, president of Self-Enhancement, Inc., an organization that assists youth in poverty. We know that it was just the opposite. Not only was it not about Black Lives Matter, it was against Black Lives Matter. Finally, somebody's speaking up. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler joined them, calling the arson blatant criminal violence that is totally unacceptable. There's a lot more to this. I'll let you read it. It's infuriating. I don't know, since when do we let this go on in the United States and just fuck it, let people just burn shit down to the ground. Well, I guess when the city gets sick of it, or those who actually fucking live there get sick of it, they will ask for help beyond their governor. Anyway, I will link it at bizarrebus.com. Epstein had other recruiters besides Maxwell, who's sitting in jail right now. Epstein's other recruiters, 4 more women accused of supplying young girls for him to abuse, face probe. As it's revealed, Ghislaine Maxwell moved house 36 times in a year before she was caught. Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, and Nadia Markinkova are under investigation for their role in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. According to reports, the 4 women are accused of helping to procure and groom the girls. In one case, previous victim went on to help groom other young women. Miss Kellen, dubbed Maxwell's lieutenant, flew on the Lolita Express almost as many times as the disgraced couple. Reports suggest that Miss Maxwell moved 36 times before her arrest last week. And the rabbit hole just keeps getting deeper. 4 more women accused of supplying young girls to the billionaire pedophile Jeffrey Epstein to abuse are facing investigation. As it's revealed, Ghislaine Maxwell moved 36 times in a year before she was caught by the FBI because she didn't want to get caught. They're being investigated for their alleged role in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Miss Kellen was the lieutenant. She is said to have taken a leading role in the sex ring, and the other 3 women have previously been accused of recruiting and grooming underage girls for Epstein to sleep with. One was also said to have been involved in a sexual relationship with the man. Unfreaking real. Sarah Kellen worked for an assistant for Jeffrey Epstein and was named in his 2008 plea agreement as a potential co-conspirator. Nada Markinova, who now goes by Nadia, was allegedly one of Epstein's victims, according to interviews with the victims back in 2005, before she began procuring girls for the pedophile herself. That's because she gets favors, if she helps him. I'm sure. According to the Sunday Telegraph, all 4 of the women received salaries and bonuses for their role in the operation. Sarah, then 22, identified Miss Kellen as well as Miss Maxwell as being present and calling her into Epstein's room before one incident of abuse. When Jeffrey wanted me, Sarah Kellen or Ghislaine would call me into his bedroom, and I had no choice but to go. She said that Miss Kellen and Miss Maxwell would give her tips on how to better please Epstein, adding that every girl she brought into the billionaire's island she knew was there to sexually please the financier. I don't understand how people let this fucking asshole get away with that shit. Chop it off. What the fuck is wrong with you? The 4 women were given immunity from prosecution in a deal struck between Epstein and the U.S. Attorney for South Florida in 2008. But the arrest of Miss Maxwell last week has now raised the possibility that the FBI could revisit the case. According to The Sun on Sunday, Miss Maxwell moved 36 times in a desperate attempt to avoid arrest before she was finally placed in cuffs on July 2nd. Responding to the accusations in an earlier statement, Miss Kellen's lawyer admitted that she scheduled appointments for the couple and was conscious of the pain and damage Epstein caused. But it's a paycheck, so fuck everybody else, right? Literally. Another of the women, Nadia, said that she herself was a victim of Epstein's perversions at the age of 15 after arriving in the U.S. from Slovakia. She then alleged to have started helping the pedophile to find other underage girls. The investigation into these additional co-conspirators now largely depends on Miss Maxwell's willingness to try to reduce her sentence, which could be 35 years if she's found guilty. Christina Oxenberg, a former associate of Miss Maxwell's, told the Telegraph that Maxwell had wiretapped the Lolita Express so that she could later use it for leverage if she was arrested. She will name names. She's a drowning rat, Oxenberg said. According to another former friend, said that Maxwell has tapes of 2 prominent U.S. politicians having sex with minors and boasted of owning powerful people. Let's see it. Do it, dude. Give the names, man. The ex-jewel robber who used the name William Steele said they forced him to watch the footage as they wanted to convince him of their power. He also claimed to have seen clips of celebrities and world figures having threesomes, even orgies with minors. He also claimed to have seen, it follows Maxwell, 58, being arrested last Thursday on charges she helped to lure at least 3 girls, one as young as 14, to be abused by Epstein, who was accused of victimizing dozens of other young girls. She's going to hell in a handbasket, y'all. Straight up. Steele told The Sun they wanted to convince me of their power and who they held in their grip. I saw videos of very powerful people, celebrities, and world figures in those videos. The former friend also referred to 2 high-profile American politicians who were in the videos. Maxwell, the daughter of the late British publishing person Robert Maxwell, is the former girlfriend and longtime associate we know as Epstein. They keep repeating themselves. I'm just reading what's in the story, dude. Several Epstein victims have described Maxwell as his chief enabler, recruiting and grooming girls. That's pretty much it. I mean, it just keeps repeating itself over and over. So it looks like not only are they looking at Maxwell, they're looking at 4 other people and a dude who has information. So it sounds like they're making some progress in there. Now, if they will just give us names, it sounds like they're keeping names because they want to break deals with people. So if they give out the names, then they can't bust a deal with them for more information, which is utter bullshit. They just need to start totally arresting everybody. I hope that happens. Anyway, I will link this story at bizarreabyss.com. Well, let's take a small break to show you the new Bizarre Abyss face mask. Oh my gosh, y'all, you asked for it, you got it. $12.99. I'm sorry, that's the best we could do, y'all. We really tried to keep it lower than that. I really wanted to keep it $10.99, but I could not get it any lower. Offers full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 6-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, as you of course know, and $1 from every mask sale is donated to nonprofit to feed the children in need. Comes in black, gray, white, and red, so feel free to check that out. Go to bizarreabyss.com and get yours today if you would like to support us. We're about to get into the WHO, but I thought I would read you some of the headlines about the pestilence right now that I couldn't cover in this video. Miami is now the COVID capital. New York pushes to track visitors. Fines and summons for non-compliance. Refrigerated trucks requested in Arizona and Texas as morgues reach capacity. California lockdown number 2. Newsom order includes restaurants, movie theaters, bars, churches, gyms, and more. LA shuts down all offices. Atlanta, Los Angeles, San Diego to keep schools closed in the fall. The pestilence is coming now for rural America. Reinvades states that already beat it back. Scientists hope summer temps would tamp it down. It isn't. Scans reveal heart damage in over half the patients. Immunity may be gone in months. So that's pretty much it. Super rich call for COVID tax on other rich. So, because there's just like no money left. So anyway, that's that with that, and on with the news. The World Health Organization updated its findings on Thursday on how the pestilence is transmitted, and there are two important changes. First, the WHO acknowledged growing evidence that the pestilence may spread through aerosols, tiny droplets of saliva that linger in the air for hours, especially in enclosed and poorly ventilated spaces. The second change involved the risk of transmission by people who don't have symptoms. Both issues have broad implications for how to contain the disease. The WHO maintains that the main route of transmission involves infected people projecting saliva droplets into the eyes and mouth or nose of people in close proximity via coughing, sneezing, talking, or singing. The agency also said spread through infected surfaces or formite transmission is likely, though not yet proven. Fuck you, we know better, dude. Fuck out of here with that. Excuse my language. Both issues have broad implications for how to contain the disease. Urine and feces have been shown to contain viable amounts of new coronavirus as well. So close the lid when you flush if you can, or don't use a public restroom with all that power swishing going on. That's the dude in the stall next to you is totally going to get you infected, dude. Just saying. The virus can be spread by people who don't have symptoms, said the WHO, but there is an important distinction between people who never develop symptoms, asymptomatic, and those who have yet to develop symptoms, pre-symptomatic, and the extent of truly asymptomatic infection in the community remains unknown. As a practical matter, Michael Barbero noted in Thursday's The Daily Podcast, the WHO is making distinction that doesn't mean all that much to people who are trying to decide whether to go to work, whether to go to a restaurant, or whether to see friends. The WHO has long dismissed aerosols as a means of transmission, except during certain medical procedures, but now says airborne spread cannot be ruled out. No fucking shit. Duh. That dude needs fired, man, so bad. There's evidence aerosols may have been responsible for outbreaks of COVID reported in some closed settings, such as restaurants, nightclubs, places of worship, or places of work where people may be shouting or talking or singing, the WHO said. The larger droplets or contaminated surfaces might have also caused those outbreaks. I can't. It ticks me off so bad. They have dropped the ball since day one, dude. Day one. Outdoors, any virus in small or large droplets may be diluted too quickly in the air to pose a risk. But even a small possibility of airborne spread indoors has enormous implications for how people should protect themselves. A new brief mostly shows the WHO experts interpret the data on aerosols differently. Oxford University's Dr. Trish Greenhalgh, I know I hacked that, tells the Times. The push-pull of the committee is palpable, as everyone knows. If you ask a committee to design a horse, you get a camel. She's right about that. I am so glad that we're not giving them money anymore to just talk bullshit all day. I mean, these guys, I could do a better job telling you what's going to hurt you than those dudes. And they're supposed to be like PhD type science people. Get the hell out of here, man. We already know what's up. And again, some of you believe it, some of you don't, and I really don't give a shit. That's fine. But I can't imagine that 10 different countries would shut down so that the U.S. could have elections go there a particular way that a certain subset group wanted it set up. That makes no fucking sense at all. Okay, so just stop it. It's not a freaking hoax. All right, well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you. We're putting the smaller 1-minute teaser vids on TikTok. And of course, you can see the full vid on youtube.com/bizarrebiz or at bizarrebiz.com. And don't forget, we link all of the news source links that I talk about on bizarrebiz.com. Thanks a lot and have a great night.